and welcome to This Week in Metropolis. The transmission will begin shortly.
Yep, King P here,
And Steely07.
and here's another exciting episode of This Week in Metropolis.
Yeah, it is another exciting episode. We've got a lot to talk about today, I think. And
Lots.
before we do start, I just want to say a big thank you to all the new followers that we've had that are listening to the show. We've had quite a lot of support coming in, especially on the social media pages this week. So big thank you, and carry on listening, carry on sharing. We'll talk a bit more about that, where you can find us at the end of the show. But to start, Matt, I hope you don't mind me starting this week. But
Please do.
there's a topic that a friend of the show, Mark, raised this week, which I contributed a bit to. And I think, am I right in saying that last weekend would have been Glastonbury?
Yes, because there's lots on. I was enjoying all the different recaps on the TV about Glastonbury, because BBC was showing a lot of the old gigs, which were amazing.
It was all on iPlayer, and you had like the
Yeah.
full sets. You could pick whichever ones. I watched a couple myself.
Yeah.
But the question that Mark had, which I saw, was, I think he'd said something like he'd watched the Beyonce set that she done.
I saw that.
Not one that I would particularly go to. Not, she's a great artist, but not my type of music, let's say. But he was saying kind of fantastic act, but what necessarily makes a bad act? Do you know what I mean? Have you ever been to it? So my question is, and I've got follow-up questions to come to this, but what would you say makes a bad gig?
I think for me, well, a couple of factors. One, like in terms of the artists themselves, if they're not engaged with the audience, I don't think that works particularly well. You know, if they're so engrossed in what they're doing, it just makes them completely removed. I saw last year, we saw Primal Scream, which was a band I'd never seen and loved for a long while, and got the opportunity to see them. And the support act, I can't even remember what they were called, but basically it was this guy in like red PVC thong and these sort of like cowboy chaps, and they were
Right
doing
up your street.
my sort of thing from the get-go. But what he was basically, he was just going mental on the stage and writhing around the floor and just putting on this weird sort of like over the top act. And everyone was just looking, fair play to him. Let him, express himself in a way, whatever way he sees fit. But the audience were almost sort of alienated by it, because not many people knew who they were, for starters, because they're the support act. But he wasn't talking to them. It was almost like, take it or leave it. This is what we do, and was just, doing this thing, and it was really odd. But
it's just the scenario that you're in, where sometimes people can try and this was kind of where my mindset was at with it. Sometimes I think a band or an artist that you listen to with their recorded material obviously sounds sometimes a hell of a lot better than they do when they're live. And then I think it's all about the kind of entertainment, the kind of showmanship for the artist. One that I watched recently, I actually watched from the Glastonbury videos that were available at the weekend, was the Foo Fighters, who I've seen, like, I'm pretty sure you've seen them live.
Seen three times now.
3 times. So
them.
I saw them at Radio 1 Big Weekend.
Yeah.
Absolutely, definitely for me, my favourite live band I've ever seen. Absolutely incredible. And not just that, I mean, they're awesome live singing. I'd still say they're probably better when it's recorded, but then most artists probably are, with the tuning of it and so forth.
Yeah.
But Dave Grohl as a showman, and the band, there's the individual moments where you've got the drummer having his own moment, and they all go through their little segments, and it's just a complete package. It's an experience, and I think that's what it's about, where you can have some. I actually watched one of my favourite bands, the 1975 set from Glastonbury. I don't know what year they'd done it, probably a couple of years ago, and it just wasn't that good, which is really hard for me to say, being such a huge fan of theirs. And maybe they're better now. when watching it, I did
Did you
feel
have a little cry when you was watching it?
while I was singing along.
Yeah.
But I did feel like maybe it was because it was an outdoor gig, maybe the sound
Yeah.
quite wasn't there, but it's also, I think it's crowd interaction. I mean, with the Foos, you could literally hear the crowd, and Dave Grohl would kind of pass on the
It brings the crowd in. Like
exactly,
it complete that.
exactly.
I remember seeing like, a good example of that. I remember seeing Green Day. God, this must have been. It was, what was the album called? It was after Insomniac. I can't remember what that one was, but you know, you know, them at their peak, about probably 1997, something like that.
Mm.
But at one point, Billy Joe got a kid up from like the crowd. He must have been about, I don't know, like 15 or something like that. And but beforehand, he'd said, right, who plays guitar? And those people are like, yeah, I play guitar. Like, who knows how to play our songs on guitar? And they were like, yeah, I do. And brought this boy up to this thing, popped his guitar over him, and was like, right, you're going to play with us. And got him playing, I can't remember what the song was, like Basket Case, one of their big songs,
Incredible.
playing it along with the band. And like things like that, you see, and think, wow,
That is awesome.
that makes, you're not up there, but you just can feel the excitement. It's like, wow, and that's so cool. They're, you know, they're no different from us. I think that's the impression. It's like, you know, welcoming you in to, rather than just standing there. Like so, even like my first example is quite like an outlandish one, but even some of the bands that come on and just play, like they don't even say hello. It's like, yeah, like start, play song after song, and like, oh right, yeah,
End. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly
That's,
that.
I think you've hit the nail on the head though, and I think it does link back to how they entertain you as an audience member, and how they bring you into it and
Yeah.
make it a complete experience.
I was going to say the other thing, though, for me, and you said a bit about it, is that sometimes you know learn to love a record and you love a song and you love the way it sounds and everything like that. And I appreciate things sound different when you hear them live, and that's fine because often you hear like a different aspect of it. But last year, going to it as a tour, the Gods of Rap, it was called, and I was super excited for it because it was De La Soul, who I absolutely love, Public Enemy, who I love, Wu Tang, were there as well. Never seen Wu Tang, always wanted to, and it was that the sound was so bad in the venue. It was in the London Arena, and I've been there before, and the sound was pretty bad as well. Because it's like a big tin box, but it was literally like someone was playing it over a cassette on over the speakers, and it was just dreadful, and it spoilt it so much because you're there and you're seeing these people who you love and hearing these songs, and particularly Wu Tang, because there's, you know, quite a few MCs. There were some bits where I was thinking, I'm not sure what song this is. Like the sound was so bad, I was thinking, what's this? And then they'd say a line like, oh right, it's that one. Terrible. Like
Yeah. Well, do you know what? That's another really good point. The venue, I think. Well,
yeah,
as I said, sometimes the venue can help it, and sometimes it can make the sound quality worse. I mean, there's some venues that are just, the sound quality in there
yeah,
is just incredible. Brixton Academy.
yeah.
I've been there a
Amazing
couple of
place.
times now.
Yeah,
Unbelievable venue
yeah.
for sound quality.
The O2 as well. I
Mm,
think so. I guess it's what they were built for, isn't it? Like Brixton Academy being an old theatre, it was built for
yeah.
sound, and like the O2 was built specifically for as an entertainment venue. It's amazing
Yeah.
how good the sound is, no matter where you are.
Yeah. Well, this is leads on to a new segment that we're going to use each week now, which is top fives. And this week's one is, what I want to know is your top five gigs. Now that can be gigs that you've either been to or watched, which I imagine, you know, you can still make
Yeah.
a pretty good judgment whether it's good or not. But I know you've been to a lot of gigs, so it's
Mm.
probably all going to be ones you've probably been present at.
It is all ones I've been present at, and I'll be honest, what was quite nice about this experience, thinking of them, there was a lot that I forgot about.
Mm.
That I was thinking, oh God, I've only thought of three. You know, what other ones are there? And I thought, oh, I saw that one. because there've been so many. Do you want me to go through them?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, starting with you from number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah, let's leave it to the best.
Number 5 will be Metallica. A huge Metallica fan.
Wow, that's number 5.
That's number 5. Yeah, huge Metallica fan. Have seen them twice now. I saw them at the Reading Festival, which must have been 98, 97 or 98, something like that. They did 3 encores. It was ridiculous. I thought it'd never end, sort of thing, in a good way, obviously. Yeah. But then saw them in the O2 I looked this up. It was 2009. I saw them at the O2 Arena, and that was the better of the two, because it was like a bit like you said about the Foo Fighters. Like, the Metallica have such a loyal fan base, and because they've been going since the early 80s, like, it's just like in a very positive way, I would describe it as a cult. Like, you're in there and everyone is like, James Hetfield will say something and punch the air, and everyone's punching the air, like, together.
Yeah, crazy.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And they're supported by Machine Head, another great band, which was really cool hearing them again. One that I liked, sort of, but had never seen. But it ended, or towards the end, they'd passed their curfew, and all the lights were on, and like, everyone the venue wanted you to leave. You're like, we don't care, we're just keeping on playing. And they did about another 3 songs with the lights on. Yeah, incredible. That's incredible.
I mean, that is good, decent encore as well, where it's quite lengthy. I think that's. I've been to a couple of gigs where it was only kind of. It was almost like they felt like they had to come on, and they didn't.
Or they leave that song. They've not played that one song that's probably their biggest song. They
exactly.
thought, oh yeah, they're coming back, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
The other nice thing I was going to say, the other nice thing about that gig, which one of the others actually on this list did, it was in the O2, but instead of having the stage at the end of the venue, they had it in the middle, which I think is a really nice touch. So wherever you are, you can see them and what they're doing. I think they have a rotating stage as well, I think. So it sort of moves around as they're playing. Something like that. Or they can move to different spots, so they sort of swap around. That's it. I think they swap around when they're sitting, and Lars, the drummer in the middle, goes round, maybe. It's something like that.
That's another good thing as well, like different stage sets. I mean, that can be quite kind of entertaining how they utilise them if they're quite, like you say, unique ones like that.
And that's one thing I noticed, actually, looking at the Glastonbury things. It really showed how things have evolved from stages. I remember going to my first gigs and that, and it would literally be the band with a few lights, and they'd have like a sign up the back with their name on, and that was pretty much it. Whereas sort of some of the ones now, particularly like you mentioned that Beyonce one, and that, it's full light show, like big screen at the back, things are going on. And
my number 5 was a tough one for me, because the first gig, that's the one that I've gone with, the first gig that I ever went to, but it was close to one that I know you won't agree with, but again, it may actually be, I can't remember which one came first, but I'm pretty sure I've picked the one that I've done first. But I actually went to see Nickelback, who I know, Jesus, oh God, with a good friend of mine, and that was actually a really good gig. But it does miss out, because my number 5 is actually The Streets, which I saw at Ali Pali, which was
incredible. I've never seen it. So I'm jealous of
mean, I was young. It was a last minute thing, and I decided to tag along. And I just remember it being a bit of a drug den. But hey, it was mental. It was a great gig. Just for a first gig experience, it was awesome.
Yeah, I bet.
Awesome.
Incredible band as well.
Oh yeah, incredible.
Which are making a bit of a comeback. I heard like Mike Skinner seems to be doing bits and pieces at the moment. We said there's a tune on the radio. I can't remember what it was, but he seems to have had a break, but now he's coming back a bit.
Is he? I think he got involved in a lot of kind of writing and things like that, and producing, rather than being the lead of a band or whatever you want to refer to. But, So what's your number 4?
So number 4 is Pearl Jam, who I saw in 2018. and they're a band which I've liked since the beginning, really, to the early 90s, but never seen them for whatever reason. Never seen them. You get into different things and whatever, and just hadn't got around to see them. So saw them. That was in the O2, and they were absolutely incredible. And they didn't have a support act, which I think was one of the first bands I've seen. It was like, wow, they've not got a support act, but played for, I don't know, 2.5 hours at least. Went through all their songs, absolutely incredible. The only not downside of it, well, it was sort of a plus and a negative. Eddie Vedder, the singer, was losing his voice. So he would be doing the song, and you could tell he'd go off and have a little bit of break in the band and play a little bit longer, and then come out and was just swigging red wine, trying to keep himself going through it. But it's incredible. I think that was one of those moments, probably opposite to what you said earlier, in respect to having known all these songs inside out, sort of growing up and listening to them on the albums hundreds and hundreds of times. To then see them performed live, it just added a completely different element to it. I mean, they're a band that's been together for over 20 years now, and they just know their songs inside out, like the Foo Fighters, and they just play them to absolute perfection. Yeah,
such a back catalogue as well, though. Like when you think,
exactly,
like you mentioned the Foos there, and how many albums have they had, and to create a set that pleases everyone. I mean, everyone knows their favourites from their own bands or whatever, but
and those special moments as well, I think, because of that too, with the fans. And I remember us talking about that when we saw the Foo Fighters, when the crowd sings along and like the band stops and it's just the crowd singing these songs, you think, wow, this is that's something special. Then it's been caught in that moment of thousands and thousands of people singing that one thing. Brilliant.
Great shout. My number 4 is one I went to recently, and I enjoyed it so much. I'm now trying to remember what the band is called. Because I realised just then I wrote down mine and I've put The Killers as my number 4, and I realised I haven't actually seen The Killers.
No, we were supposed to be seeing them.
You were supposed to be seeing them. And that was this. Well, it would have been this month, wouldn't it?
Late May, early June. I think it was supposed to be something like that. I don't know.
Who sang the song Ruby?
Kaiser Chiefs.
Kaiser Chiefs. Always get them mixed up. That's who I saw only a year or two ago at Brixton Academy. And again, do you know what? The reason I laugh about it as well is because I went with Mark. And I remember pretty much agreeing to go pretty quickly, but at the same time thought, I mean, I could probably name 5 of their songs, although I've got probably most of their albums. There's only 5 that I could probably go, oh yeah, love that one. And it was that sort of experience where I almost went to see them as a band and see what they're like live, rather than being such a massive fan. And I've been to quite a few gigs like that. But to come away from it and go, what? And again, it's that kind of entertaining aspect of it. Like, the lead singer, what's his name? You know his name?
Ricky.
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 Him. He. It'll come to me. His full name. He as an entertainer. And a showman, he was brilliant, and again, it's that kind of getting the crowd involved, and a lot of the songs. Ricky Wilson, God, that's my number 4. Really should have been 5. Yeah, great gig.
Right, number 3, big one. Number 3 as well. Linkin Park and Jay-Z headlining in Milton Keynes Bowl. They did. I can't remember what it's called. It was the Project Revolution. It's a bit of a festival sort of thing. So it was Linkin Park were the headliners. Jay-Z came before them. Pendulum, NERD, and Enter Shikari were the warm up as well. So ridiculous crowd. But the nice thing about that, I'd never seen Jay-Z before. disappointingly with that though, tying into Glastonbury, Jay-Z played Glastonbury the day before. He played Glastonbury on the Friday, and then I went to see this on the Saturday. And I thought, oh yeah, let's watch him on like Glastonbury. I get a feel for what he's like, because I'd never seen him before, and I really enjoyed it. And then when I saw him on the Saturday, same gig, word for word, like literally word for word. Even even the freestyle bits in the middle, word for word, and like, oh god, like everything he said was just from a script.
Hello, Glastonbury. Welcome back, Glastonbury.
It was pretty much like that, which was really disappointing. It was good, but what was nice was I'd seen Linkin Park on when they supported Deftones. It was their first gig in the UK. I think they supported Deftones, and that was in London Arena, I think. And wasn't really into them at the time. But oh yeah, they're pretty good. Blah blah blah. So not really. So it was almost like seeing him afresh in their own gig. And because Jay-Z was there, they did the I can't remember what the album was called, where they crossed over to. And they did those songs in that form live on stage together, which was amazing.
Which is awesome, because I had that album, and my only complaint about it was it sounded like it was almost like a cut and paste, like they just cut the bit of Jay-Z's lyric out, stuck it in, and then merged it and done all the kind of mixing and so forth, where it wasn't like a live performance recorded onto it. So watching it live would have been a lot better. Linkin Park, probably one of my all-time favourites. I wish I could have seen them. Really do.
And they were absolutely faultless as a band live, and it was like Milton Keynes Bowl. I've seen quite a few things and it's nice from the fact that you're outside. And it's got that festival feel to it, and on the summer's day, I think that was sort of June or whatever. Being out there in the summer and seeing that kind of band, amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah.
My number 3 is a gig that you and I went to, which was to go and see my favourite band of all time, Fightstar.
Really good gig. Really good gig.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was in a small venue in Norfolk. Absolutely loved it, and I'd already seen them live at the Brixton Academy many years ago, but this was incredible, and the sound in there was really good. Just the atmosphere, and it was a new album release, so they'd done a lot of their better songs and the new stuff. But as a bit of a side to that, I've also seen Charlie Simpson do his own kind of acoustic set as well, which was probably on a par, but completely different kind of music. So yeah, that they would be, to see your favourite band and not be disappointed, I think is pretty special. So that would be my number 3.
And it was nice in regards to that gig. You're a huge fan. I'm not really a fan, and that's not saying it in any sort of.
But it is your number 1.
Slight, but it is my number 1. Yeah. No, they were really good, and that was that's a good example. Going and seeing a band that I didn't really have any expectation of.
Or respect.
Or respect. and they were really good. And I think part of that small venue, you're right on top of the band. The crowd was really into it. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, and that really makes it, doesn't it? They're great. Yeah.
So number two, Matt. This was obviously a close call.
I only said big one as well. Number 2, Prince was number 2.
Wow.
Number 2 is Prince. Yeah. In 2007, I don't know if you remember, he did. It's ridiculous. Something like 12 nights at the O2. It was just insane, and he sold out every single one. And fortunately, I got tickets for one of those. And I was thinking about Prince after we was talking about Batman, like the original Tim Burton Batman. The reason I got into Prince was that film, because Prince did the soundtrack to it, and I loved the music when I saw the film and got the album, and absolutely fell in love with his stuff, and then sort of followed him from there on. But seeing someone like that who doesn't tour, or didn't, shall I say, tour a great deal, and having never seen it, amazing, absolutely amazing.
What year did you say that was?
2007.
2007.
That was. He had his stage shaped like his symbol thing,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and again, he had no warm up because who can, to warm up to Prince really? And he played all these different songs. He had people that with him as well, like the level of musicians. He had a guy on the horn section called Maceo Parker. And Maceo Parker was in James Brown's band, like, and on all these classic funk songs. And he'll be, oh yeah, Maceo's going to do a bit, and he's playing all this, like, I think he plays trumpet, something like that. It's amazing, like the level of talent in that man. And he'd stand there, talk to the crowd, and he'd say, right, what do you want to hear next? And everyone's shouting all the
Crowd
classic
interaction.
tunes and stuff.
Crowd interaction.
And he'd just stand there chatting, and then like bang, he's into a song, just playing this thing, and you think, oh my god, incredible, absolutely incredible. Yeah,
that is a huge number 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to tell you my 2 and 1 now, because they were both at the same gig, and then that'll be a nice build up for your number 1. Number 2 was on the first night of Big Weekend, which was Muse. They headlined. Just incredible. Again, they're the sort of band, they've had so many albums, and I can pick and choose, 2, 3 from each album that are like top draw. And this whole set was, incredible. Such a good experience. Interaction, probably not as much interaction actually with the crowd, mainly because they just tried to cram as many songs in, because there was such demand.
And a short set as well.
And it was a shorter set, yeah. But just the music, and it just sounded exactly like you would hear on the record. Like, they were so good live. And then to follow that up the next night, and I wasn't even sure I was going to make it to day 2 because I was drained from day 1. But I'm glad I didn't miss it. Was Foo Fighters, who I touched upon earlier. Just incredible to be part of that, and to witness the whole gig was definitely one of the best.
Yeah, no, I saw the Foo Fighters on that day as well. They're such a great band. Controversially, I've never really liked Muse. And I remember when they first came out, and thought, not really keen. But they sounded a bit in the time. I was really into Radiohead, and at that time I was thinking, it sounds a bit like a poor man's Radiohead. But then later on, they sort of changed direction quite a lot, and they had some brilliant songs. I give them that, but never one that I've got into. Yeah. Really.
And that's the thing. There are certain bands and artists that are like that, aren't they? They can be such big, kind of, mega stars, and yet sometimes it's just not you. Especially, I don't want to say your age, but you're a little bit older than me, and you've obviously, like you said, like Radiohead is probably a band that I never listened to as much, and then got into Muse. So it's probably a generational thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is. But yeah, I appreciate what they do, but not. I wouldn't choose to see them as such. But my number 1, which you're probably expecting anyway, so I raved on about this when I saw it, is the Chemical Brothers.
Yeah.
I saw them. I've seen them twice. I saw them at Brixton Academy in '99, which was incredible. Again, you said about the Brixton Academy sound. I just remember that some of the songs, the sound, which it's like surround sound. Literally, the sound would go round the whole venue. Absolutely amazing. And then saw them last year at O2, and it was just incredible. It's the only way I can describe it. Like, every level of they're electronic acts. They haven't got the presence on stage that a band would, because it is 2 guys standing behind a load of keyboards and stuff. But sort of how they then make up for that is to have these huge screens. But the way they did it was it interacted with the music, and you had like monsters fighting, for example, on the screen, or there was a bit where the screen, like lasers shot out of the screen at a certain point, like out of certain characters in time with the music, and like all of this stuff was going on. It didn't detract from what you was hearing, it added to it. I think it's the only
Another
way I can
element.
yeah, exactly. It was just a whole nother element to it.
That is exactly what I was thinking earlier when you were saying about lights and things like that,
Yeah.
and the kind of setup and things like that. That is exactly what I was thinking of. I didn't know it was going to be in number one, but
Yeah.
that is, again, it just adds to the music, and especially for an act like the Chemical Brothers, who probably aren't kind of lead singers or things like that.
No,
You know what I mean?
not at all. That's it. And they've got, but because they've been around for, again, over 20 years now, they've got they've got the back catalogue to back it up. You know, they've got all the hits that people know. And what they did, it was interesting. So I saw a bit of them at Glastonbury that was on sort of at the weekend, and it was very different. What they were doing then was more of, we're going to play a song and then we'll calm down a bit and then we'll play another song. Whereas seeing them last time, it was a continuous mix of music, and it went from one to another. But then because they got so much material, they'd chuck a little bit of something else into it. So you're listening to one thing and then you think, oh, that's from that song, and
Yeah.
just this constant flow of sound, and the sound in there was just so good. It had robots coming, like big 3D robots coming from the ceiling with lasers coming out. Right, it's just insane. Yeah, didn't know what was going to happen next, and it just
you was worried for your life.
That's it. Get me.
Oh god.
But yeah, incredible.
Awesome.
Absolutely incredible gig.
Well, that is a great way to round off your top five.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's some heavyweights in those top fives as well, isn't it? Great selection of bands.
Yeah, shame that Nickelback just missed out.
It was, yeah, they'd be my number one all day. One interesting thing that I saw on Glastonbury, which was just it's just weird, what sort of almost like travelling back in time. They played a gig from Oasis on there. And apparently they started filming Glastonbury in 1994. That was the first time they televised it. And this particular performance by Oasis was from 1994. And it was before they'd released their first album. So very few people knew who they were. So they're on there. It was odd. You're watching it thinking, oh, God, and they're playing all these songs that you know. But the crowd are looking at them like, oh, yeah, that's all right. Yeah,
it's what it'd be like now if they were to do a gig now.
It's just such a unique thing to see. But they were still doing, like, Liam was still doing his. He'd sing his bit. He'd be staring at the crowd, and he'd go and sit down at the back. Like while the band were doing their stuff, he'd just be sitting there, like looking a bit bored. Then he'd get up and he'd do it. Ridiculous.
God. Nothing's changed then.
No, exactly. Nothing's changed it with that. But yeah, I just thought that was amazing. You forget in a way, you forget these big bands, but someone like Oasis that are now, like, I don't know, almost legendary in their status because of the songs they've had and the success they had. Seeing them in that sort of real humble sort of beginning, like, wow,
well, that's it. And all artists have got to start somewhere, haven't they? That's the thing, to have been the new band performing, especially at Glastonbury as well, to be even on the card if you're a newer artist, which is also. Well, and were they on the main stage, or was that when there was kind of only?
I think they were on, was it the John Peel stage or something?
Right,
so I don't think they were even on the main one.
Yeah.
I may be wrong with that, but yeah, it was incredible seeing someone like that. But I do think for me, that like having all that stuff on iPlayer and that has been incredible. I always watch. I've never been to Glastonbury, but when it's on the TV, I always make a point of watching it. Like, I'll sit there for the evening and watch the different bands that are on there and take it in. And it did, it's just really cool watching all those bands on there.
Just touching back upon Oasis, do you think they will ever get back together?
No, I don't think they will. I think they hate each other too much.
I think Liam keeps hinting about it, doesn't he? He's saying he's willing to kind of move on from the beef from before.
I think he probably needs the money more than Noel, though. And having saw Noel Gallagher last year with his solo bit. Yeah, High Flying Birds. I was supposed to see him about a week ago if it hadn't all kicked off.
The world had ended.
Yeah, with the world had completely Yeah, gone crazy. We would have been seeing him again. And the thing is with Noel, because he wrote all the songs, he's got a really good singing voice,
Yeah.
and he can do it by himself. He does his own stuff, and then he just weaves in all the Oasis classics as well. So it's the next best thing almost, because that's hard often when a lead singer leaves and you've got, I've never been a fan of bands that then replace their lead singer for whatever reason, because it's not really the same band then. Whereas Oasis it was really all about Noel. Liam added his attitude and whatever, but it was Noel, and he sung on so many big songs. So
you're spot on there. I went to see Blink 182.
Yeah.
And they've replaced obviously their lead singer. And it just wasn't the same. I mean, it was still a good gig, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the gig, but it just felt like I was watching a different band.
Like a tribute act, almost,
yeah,
isn't
to
it?
some extent.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one person different, but it made such a difference to the sound of the songs that you're familiar with. And although they've made albums since the new lead, I mean, I don't know his name, has been in the band, and they sound like their own songs now.
Yeah.
It's them ones from before that sound so different now. Just
Yeah.
it's the sound, isn't it? It's everyone's voice is unique. So yeah, I know what you mean. But anyway, I think we've probably gone on about this a bit too long. But if anything, it's been enjoyable and good to hear. We will have more of these. But just wanted to say before we wrap up, you can find us on social media, so on Instagram and on Twitter. You can just search for This Week in Metropolis. Give us a follow, give us a like, and share the podcast. And we'll give you a follow back. And if you've got any questions or topics that you want us to talk about as well, then please feel free to drop us a message, and we'll try and give you our opinion on them.
Definitely. Well, it's been a pleasure as always, and thanks for listening.
Until next time.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Transmission over.